Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy from IES INCA. Good to see all of you. And we're doing a quick intro on IES INCA before we discuss about PETRONAS Future Tech 2.0 Accelerator. Okay, so for those who are new and joining us for the first time, I'm Andy, the General Manager of IES INCA, and we are very privileged to have 500 startups with us this afternoon, and we'll be sharing with you about the program they're running in Malaysia, as well as two of the past participants of the program to share their experience with you. Yeah. Okay. So for those who are new to us, IES is the Institution of Engineers Singapore. It's the national body for engineers here in Singapore, and our mission is to advance and promote science, art, and professional engineering, and also to be the heart voice of engineers and be the national body for engineers in Singapore. Our institution is made out of members, engineers in the private sector, in the government sector, as well as the academia. And we have different types of engineers in different disciplines with us as well. Yeah. So extending into IES INCA, IES INCA is actually the extension of IES into the incubator accelerator to help engineers, technopreneurs into growing their companies. And we connect entrepreneurs with mentors and investors to help build up this sustainable and successful technology ventures. Yep. I will run a short video for you on our corporate video to introduce you IES INCA. Okay.
A year after Singapore achieved independence, the Institution of Engineers Singapore, IES, was established. IES plays a vital role in the growth and advancement of our young nation. IES continues to advance and promote the science, art, and profession of engineering for the well-being of all. You can always count on an engineer to come up with practical solutions. After all, that's what we do. But what about those inspiring ideas and applications that you've come up with? Marketing and commercialization, that's the unfamiliar part. And it's never been more complicated. IES INCA supports science, technology, engineering ventures in getting to market and becoming the greatest success possible. Focusing on areas of opportunity in the exciting area of deep tech. And it's never been needed more, as disruption forces the reshaping of industries. Join IES INCA as we build an exciting and innovative community, together towards the future of engineering, innovation, and enterprise.
Okay, that's a quick intro on us, and our main mission is to support these companies in engineering translation, to market, and meeting their milestones, as well as to build up a vibrant engineering and venture community that can really transform life through the innovation and technology. Okay, these are our board of directors. We have Engineer Evan Q as our chairman, and we have various engineers in different discipline, and also experience in the technopreneurship space, as well as board members who are in the finance space to advise us. And what exactly we do for incubators is we work with the teams that have already done their customer validation and discovery and ready to scale up. We support them with business structuring, business planning, and helping to source fundraising through the support and guidance of our mentors and reaching out into the IES network. And companies exceed incubation when they have an executable business plan and the necessary funding that can build their sustainable and growing ventures. So our focus areas for IES INCA is infrastructure technology, building related materials, processes, and facilities management, IoT for industrial purpose and smart cities, robotics automation, and clean tech sustainability. These are companies that we are looking for that we can incubate in the scale-up stage. And hold on a minute. Yeah. Yeah, and these are some of our partners. We work closely with Enterprise Singapore, as well as IPI, A-Star, and also various industry parties. We also work with ISCA, Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants, where they provide us with finance mentors and also various investors in the market. And we also run courses for engineers who are thinking of running their businesses to scale up on the skills necessary for technopreneurship and also to be more effective in leading the companies. Yep. So if you're keen, you can join us in the future courses. And that's all I have to share. And I'd like to hand over the floor to Carrie and her team to share more about the exciting programs that 500 startups are bringing to the market. Over to you, Carrie.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So nice to see you guys. If you don't mind, can we get everyone to turn on your camera so we can see your faces? So it doesn't seem like I'm talking to just black square boxes, right? We'll keep it very casual. I think there are just, a bunch of us in the room today. So we wanted to really create an experience that we can just network, get to know one another. It'd be really nice for me to also find out, what you guys are interested in, what you're working on, so we can see how 500 startups can support you. So if you don't mind, turn on your camera so I can see your faces, okay? If not, you can always just type in the chat box and talk to me, so I won't feel like I'm alone. Okay, so a quick introduction. I'm Carrie. I'm based in Singapore. I take care of startup programs at 500 startups across the APAC region. This means that anything that's founder facing, we do, right? So my colleague Posun is here with us today, and we have two founders, Arif and Izwan, who were part of the previous cohort of this program, and they're here to share their stories with us. So I'm going to take you guys through a very quick introduction of what we do. So welcome to the PETRONAS Future Tech Accelerator. I wanted to share a bit about, 500 with you guys. So we're known as a global leader in venture capital, right? And we have about 2,500 portfolio companies across 77 countries. And this is just a growing market for us. So when we start to think about, startups within our ecosystem, we want to be able to help them, take them through that journey and create sort of an interconnected, sort of holistic ecosystem rather than just giving them investments. So what we do is, oops, I can't click. So our mission here at 500 is really to uplift people and economies through entrepreneurship. And we do that in several ways, right? Why we call this our mission? Because we believe that talent is equally distributed, but opportunities are not. And we want to be able to create opportunities that allow founders and startups to scale and grow beyond just their ideas. So how we look at this is in 3 different stages. When we think about the startup's journey, we always look at the beginning of it, right? The very, very early stage where you're starting to realize that there is a problem you want to solve. And when you think about the problem that you want to solve, you naturally start to think about what are some of the ideas that I can come up with? What solutions can I create? And I want to start finding the people who can join me in creating this mission together. So we call this our ignition programs, and we do this across several countries, Azerbaijan, for example, Cambodia, and also Singapore, right? This is where we start to take founders through finding their product market fit, forming their team, doing your problem solution fit, right? And during this stage, the founders are forced to validate their ideas. They're forced to start thinking about whether or not this concept will work and in which markets. So this is where we call it the idea startup stage. And then we move into the development stage, right? Where you start to see founders begin to, run their startups, and they start to get their first customers. They start to think about, which market is best for me? How can I start redesigning, refining, and readjusting some of my solutions to fit the customers that I want? Or maybe some of the customers that I want need to be re-educated. So this is where we run our accelerator and growth bootcamps. And at this stage, we start to really see a lot of startups mature. They start to think about, beyond just their idea, right? Beyond their product. This is where they also start to run a lot of growth experiments. They learn about sales and marketing. They learn about who their different channels are and who they can reach out to in order to really partner and grow their startup. Then we come to the last and final stage. I wouldn't call it last, maybe not final, but the more mature stage is where we start to think about market access, right? As startups start to grow, they realize that their home country is not enough for them. They need to start looking outside and start looking at audiences and customers that may exist outside their own country or region. So we do market access programs, and these are the ones that we perhaps start to look at how we can bring startups out of their own country meet new customers outside, even start raising funds to really do market penetration. So we take startups through their journey within our programs, and PETRONAS is one of the really rare ones that we have a corporate partner working with us to support the growth of these startups, right? So when we think about, the first program that we did with PETRONAS in 2019, we were really amazed by the kind of applications that we got in. We had over 160 startups that applied for it. We took them through interview sessions. 55 of them participated in a pitch workshop for 1 out of the 20 spots in the accelerator. So it was very competitive, but I think it was a really good experience for all of them. And we learned from it too, right? Out of the 20 startups, I think at this point, or even down the line, these numbers may have been updated. We do have 3 that were confirmed and signed to do POCs, some of them in process of setting up agreements, and even more. With PETRONAS, I think the key to really succeeding in this program was not just 500 startups accelerator curriculum and the mentors that we bring, but also PETRONAS's commitment, right, to work with startups in building a deep tech ecosystem in Malaysia. So I think this is something that, PETRONAS and 500 really shares as a common value in terms of wanting to grow the deep tech community within Malaysia, right? So this year, we're very excited to be doing it again. We're calling it 2.0. So things that we have learned and highlights that we have experienced, we're going to again be reframing them, be doing them again this year. So we see this 12-week accelerator as 3 phases. The first phase really taking you through your foundations of growth, right? This is talking about your growth hacks, learning how to develop your ideal customer profile, running sales and marketing experiments. And this is where you also start to think about, potentially wanting to work with PETRONAS and the other corporate partners. So in phase 2, this is where we really do the deep work, right? This is where we dive deep into running experiments, spending time with your mentors, talking to PETRONAS's business unit heads and innovation leads in order to really find out what kind of problems they're solving, and how your startup can be a solution fit for them, right? So this is where you really start to think about, what you want to do at the end of this program. So this is where we do a lot of customer interviews. We spend a lot of time in one-to-one with our mentors, building up your product, readying for the market. And then at the final phase, we get tactical, right? This is where we start building your narrative. How do you present your product, right? That's the question now. So you know what your product does, but how do you tell that story to everyone else? So this is where you learn to develop presentation skills, your pitch deck, you work with some of our mentors in order to really craft that narrative around your story. So we're looking at 12 weeks full-time, fully virtual, really just committing to, building your startup and making it ready for market. But that's not all, right? Because being a part of the 500 family is something that I think a lot of our alumni startups value. We call ourselves 500 Strong. We have an ongoing community of events, mentor network, corporate partners and investors and VCs, as well as startups from other programs that have come through our doors, right? There is a constant sort of engagement that we do, whether it's in terms of community events or even just asking for help on our Slack channels. I think we see this interaction happening almost on a daily basis. And we think it's important that as a founder, as a startup, you have that sort of support system and you have a network that's able to kind of, guide you along your journey, right? Because it doesn't end with just a program. And how we do that is we give you access to global connectivity. Any startup that comes through our doors, go through our programs, you will have the opportunity to access our global network of 3,000 plus founders, close to 500 mentors in our network globally. And this means you can actually gain access to ongoing mentorship. So it doesn't mean that your program's over, you're done. You can still reach out to any of our mentors in our database to ask for one-to-one office hours, because maybe at some point, 1 year down the line, you start to think about going into a new market, like Europe, for example, and you want to reach out to a mentor that's able to provide you access, right? Or advice and mentorship and guidance towards that new market. You can easily reach out to any of our mentors to help out. Community perks, we have quite a few partners that are on board with our perk system, and they actually provide quite a few good discounts in terms of like co-working spaces, software, any kind of things that you think you may need along your startup journey. This is what you also get as part of our ecosystem. So some founder testimonials. Really, we have been very lucky to have founders who actually kind of benefited from our program. You can see like when they say they gain like VC perspective, I think that's important. We design a lot of our programs with the VC and investor lens on top of it, so we know how to ready startups for investment and market access. I think this program also gave the founders a lot of opportunities to really understand the Malaysia market and how to really start a business there. And thinking about, what PETRONAS is trying to do here is really grow that deep tech startup ecosystem, right? And this is a really good opportunity to kickstart that kind of journey. So don't hear it from me. I'm not a founder in the program. I think I want to, let you hear it from the founders themselves. So we have with us today Arif. Sorry. We have together with Arif. He's the CEO and co-founder of Braintree Technologies, and Izwan, the Chief Operating Officer from Inference Tech. So the two of them are here with me today, and we are going to be asking them a few questions. I don't want it to be, just us talking. So if you have questions for us, please feel free to type into the chat. I will take them up anytime. So let me stop sharing my screen for now so we can all see Arif and Izwan. Let's do a quick introduction. Arif, do you want to tell us something about yourself?
Hi everyone. I am Arif, CEO of Braintree Technologies. We were part of the Future Tech first cohort. Just a bit of background of myself. I used to work at AMD in Toronto, Canada for 6 years. I was doing graphics driver programming for a few projects at PS5, some Dell Alienware, some Razer gaming laptops. Then I came back to Malaysia about 3 years ago and started Braintree Technologies. And Braintree, what we do is we build robots, agriculture robots, to help farmers basically produce yield consistently and hassle-free manner. So we actually built chili picking robots and then also spraying robots. Yeah.
I love that. I always wonder if, if I had the opportunity to become a cyborg or actually own more robots in my house, would I do it, right? And I think we have to start to embrace the fact that robotics is a huge part of, a lot of businesses and especially traditional businesses. So I think this is a really cool way to start thinking about what's out there. Thank you, Arif. Izwan, can you share a bit about yourself with everybody, please?
Yeah, hi. Good day, everybody. Good afternoon. I am Izwan, the Chief Operating Officer of Inference Technologies Berhad. Thank you, PETRONAS. Thank you, 500 Startup, for having me and Inference today. And we are honored with the invitation extended to us. A little bit about me, myself, just to share a quick bit about me. Actually, I am a 21-year-old veteran. Initially was mainly in energy, marine, oil and gas, UAV, drone sectors, and recently into the AI. So in my earlier employment history, I was more into the manufacturing of few electrical apparatus, mainly high voltage power transformer under the license of Siemens, Germany. So I was based in Croatia, Ukraine, and few other countries. And after 8 years of employment, I opened up my own business. And luckily enough for me, I was selected by PETRONAS to be one of their vendor back in 2010, 11 years ago, for a project in Sudan. So that was my own company, and I was there for a few years. And coming back from there, I was involved in a few other businesses, in a few other sectors. And the recent involvement of me into deep tech is more on drone. Back in 2018, I was the project director for Europe for Aerodyne Group of Malaysia. Then I resigned and we opened up with my co-founders and also my CEO, Izzat. We opened up Inference. And that's where we started off doing AI since 2019, since May 2019. So Inference is an AI solution provider specializing in enterprise-centric, hardware-agnostic, AI-driven solutions. So as I mentioned just now, we were founded in 2019. We aim to be the forefront of Malaysia's fledgling AI scene. So throughout our combination of solid technical capabilities and also luckily perfect timing and luck, we back a few major projects with GLCs such as PETRONAS, TMB and others. And that was at a very early stage of our journey, something that actually quite unheard of for early stage startup. And luckily as well, in September 2019, about 4 months after our incorporation, we were invited for a future tech program. And at the same time, actually, we were also hitting our first major project with a Japanese conglomerate. And in fact, during the interview session for Future Tech 1.0, all the 3 founders were not in Malaysia. We were in Japan. So we had to send in our subordinate to represent us to pitch in front of PETRONAS and 500 startup for the selection process. And luckily, alhamdulillah, we were selected. And from that point onward, our business grew by leaps and bounds. And we are now in presence in Japan and also in Singapore. And we were supposed to be in Europe and USA for a few POCs in mid-2020, but unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, this had to be put on hold until further notice. Thank you.
Thank you, Izwan. It's so interesting that you had to have someone step in to do the pitch live, right? The good thing about this year is everything is virtual. So all of you interested to really sign up for this year's Future Tech program, you can be rest assured that you won't have to send someone else to do it. You can do it yourself virtually. So I hope that person that got you...
They will miss all the excitement, you know.
It is pretty exciting, yeah, to have real life events. We do miss that very much, right? Yeah, very much. But we have tried and tested, you know, virtual ways of doing it. There is a bit of human element missing, but we'll make do, right? Hopefully COVID really gets better over time and we can go back to that again. So thank you for the quick introduction, both of you. Let's talk a bit about the program, right? I want to take you guys back to, you know, when you first, what motivated you to really join this program? Like, what do you think you were going to experience at that point in time? Maybe Izwan can go first.
Do I have any time limit for this or can just free? Just
yeah, free and easy. Yeah.
Free and easy, yeah? Okay, yeah, I mean, about this PETRONAS Future Tech program, to be honest, as I mentioned in my introduction, Inference was actually incorporated in May 2019, and then so happened we strike our luck when in July, actually we were awarded a contract by the main con of PETRONAS to do an AI solution. So during that time, we were unfortunately was more on the basis of Inference being the second layer subcon for the client, for the MNC, to be honest, that secured the project. So during that time, while we were developing the solution for PETRONAS through the main con, through the MNC, we got to know about Future Tech from our friends and families and also colleagues in PETRONAS and so on and so forth. So one of the triggering point for us was that one of them told us that rather than we remain as the second layer subcon to this MNC, why don't you guys just apply for this Future Tech program, become the first batch, and who knows, it might provide us with the direct access to PETRONAS ecosystem rather than going through the multiple layers of main con, subcon, and so on and so forth. So yeah, long story short, we applied and alhamdulillah, thank God, we were selected among the 20 companies.
Thank you. Actually, that's a very, very interesting motivation, right? Because I think with PETRONAS, they start to, you know, develop this opportunity, and it really open up, I think, a lot of avenues or channels for startups like yourself to really, you know, say that we want to get firsthand information on how to work with PETRONAS directly, right? So I think this is a program that really elevates that sort of relationship that we're building also. Yeah, Arif, what about you? What motivated you to get into this program?
I mean, there is always like the myth story where it's all good, and then there is the reality. So I guess
give us the beautiful one only, bro. Keep all the ugly one inside your cabinet.
Right. So just being candid, actually at first we saw the program, right, the advertisement, but we didn't think about time because we were in agri-tech and we were thinking like PETRONAS is in oil and gas, and like what do we have to do with oil and gas, right? But I knew Rushdie, who was working with 500, and we knew him from we met at agri-tech like conferences and stuff. So he was telling me, hey, guy, dude, just apply. Like, I mean, there's not many deep tech companies in Malaysia, and we really need it. And this one is more than just oil and gas, right? So I was like, yeah, okay, Rushdie, so I'll apply, right? But like I was just blown away. Like afterwards, like I mean, it was the best thing probably we've ever done for the company. And it's way more than just like Petronas has a very a big broad vision for the future, and we, if you are in deep tech, like I mean, we really benefited from the program. Yeah.
Thanks for that. I think that's a very insightful kind of experience, right? Because I think Petronas also realized the kind of talent, that were coming our way, right? We together, I mean, 500 and Petronas, we realized that, hey, there is so much out there in terms of deep tech. There are so many solutions and so many products. And even like yourself being in agri-tech, I think that is why we really open up to a lot more corporate partners. So this year, Petronas is working with Telekom Malaysia and Sime Darby Plantation to really work with the 20 startups that are in the program. So we're not just limiting to, say, the oil and gas, industry. We're opening up, right? So a lot of other corporate partners like Sime Darby Plantation is really excited because this is the beginning of their innovation journey, working with, startups like yourselves, right? So I think that's the good thing here, is that we're starting to see this kind of rise up. The need for deep tech solutions is really there, and there are corporates who are ready to get involved and dig deep with us, right? So I think it's going to be really exciting because we're learning new things. We're building on top of what we have done. Yeah. So thanks for that. Maybe you can share with us, like, what is one key highlight, right, of the program that you really experienced? I know there are many good things. There are like 100 good things. Maybe just one key highlight for you, Arif.
Probably free dinner at the rooftop of Equatorial Hotel.
Oh man!
No,
Don't say that.
No,
This year,
it's not Equatorial Hotel. It's EQ Hotel, bro.
EQ. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
unfortunately, startups are not going to get it this high because we're all virtual.
Yeah,
So
just teasing you guys. Yeah.
I pity them. I pity them.
yeah, but it is the experience, right, of being
Yeah,
together with 19 other startups, really gathering together. Yeah.
It's
What about
actually, yeah, it's hard to pick one, to be honest. It's just so many good things. But I guess if I have to pick one, I would say that our mentor from the program. So we had Andrew from, he was the ex-CMO of Lazada. So at first when I met him, he was telling me your robot sucks. Like he was telling me, oh, you're like dreamer and stuff like that. I was like, who's this guy, man? You sell stuff online. Like, what do you know about robots, right? But he was very key in the program. We kind of have a business plan, like a business model that's actually a product of bouncing ideas and brainstorming with him, where we have this thing called farming as a service. So just think about it, like if you have a self-driving car, you want to run like a robo-taxi fleet, like instead of just selling the self-driving car. So we have this robots that do agriculture services. So instead of just selling the robots, we actually run farms, like we call farming as a service, where it's like an Airbnb but for your unattended land. That way, it's a business model that we've, after 2 years, we've been growing that. And Andrew is actually our advisor until today. I actually just had a call with him last week. He's in our, yeah. So to me, Andrew was like big part of like benefit from it. Although there's just so many, but we can go through that later.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm very heartened to hear that because we have been really working closely with our mentors to kind of create a circular and holistic sort of, environment where they not just come in for a program and work with the startups and then call it a day, right? I know a lot of our mentors are very committed and passionate for altruistic reasons, right? Because they truly want to see startups grow. So I hear many stories like what Andrew's doing with you guys, like staying in touch, really supporting your journey. And like I mentioned before, in the 500 strong kind of ecosystem, mentors don't just disappear after your program. They know you, they get to know you, they believe in your product, and they want to help you see you succeed, right? So I think that's kind of the value that, 500 programs bring together to the startups, right? So thank you for sharing that. I'm very happy to hear that. Iswan, what about you? What's the one thing that you feel was the key highlight for your experience in this program?
Yeah, if I may, maybe I'll share two, just a quick one.
Sure.
Okay, firstly, of course, the good part of the program is that we receive direct guidelines or guidances in this manner from PETRONAS, PETRONAS and also 500's personnel, which personally I believe was very invaluable, once in a lifetime and a money can't buy opportunity or experiences. Of course, these were all provided to us FOC. We don't have to pay a single cent out of our pocket. I believe if we are going for the same courses or a similar program by the third parties outside, easily it will cost us a fortune to attend these courses. But that may just be for a few days or weeks compared to this continuous 3 months future tech program. The second highlight of the program that I believe worth mentioning was that we were given direct access to places in PETRONAS that are not open to public, and in fact, in certain cases, in certain places, are not even open to PETRONAS's personnel. For example, PETRONAS Digital Center, PETRONAS Research, PETRONAS Gas Kerteh, and so on. So these places are not accessible to approved personnel only, and we had the liberty, we had the privilege of attending or went physically to these places to see ourselves how the business units operate and so on. So of course, while visiting those places, we were also introduced and brought around tour to meet the PIC person in charge firsthand at their workstations and offices, seeing how they operate on daily basis. And of course, also, just to add to the second highlight was that we also had the privilege to meet the president of PETRONAS, the SVP, Senior Vice President, SGM, GM, you name it, all the senior levels of management of PETRONAS. We were able to meet them on constant basis, something that you don't get or something that you don't experience if you are not part of the Future Tech program.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that's honestly, I feel like when we work with so 500 startups programs, right, generally we do give the same kind of effort and commitment and design, right? But I think what you're talking about is really one level on top, because we have a partner like PETRONAS, and I think them being really committed to this program is that they want their business unit heads, they want their employees and staff who are involved in the program to really get down and dirty with us. So this year we're actually spending a lot of time working with their business unit heads and innovation leads to kind of craft out exactly what they want to see as an outcome of the program, what they hope to be able to envision working together with the startups on, And I think what you mentioned about being able to go down and see these things happen, unfortunately, because of COVID, we can't, but we'll still try to kind of create enough content that really guides, the startup on understanding the business challenges that PETRONAS and Sime Darby Plantation and Telekom are facing, so that as a startup, you're able to really kind of create solutions around that. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's really valuable to us to know, to hear. Could you share with us, let's talk about outcomes, right? Now that you both are successfully kind of working with PETRONAS, Iswan, congratulations on, being able to work directly with them now. Can you share a bit about, after the program, like what kind of happened for you?
Okay, yes, sure, our pleasure on that. So I believe in terms of the experience or the outcome for us, first of all, I mean, it's quite a mixed feeling, to be honest, because on a personal basis, I am used to PETRONAS ecosystem, both on the professional and personal level, because I was involved with them, with PETRONAS Sudan particularly. So, and I was also vendor for them. But that was more on the conventional mainstream of mechanical and electrical kind of work. Not a fancy, nothing out of the ordinary deep tech or deep learning stuff like future tech and so on. But on the professional basis, basically we are very much delighted when we were selected for the program. One thing for sure is that we believe PETRONAS has taken steps towards the right direction in developing and nurturing companies and startups like us that have the potential to contribute significantly towards PETRONAS's digitalization and digital transformation initiative. During that time, in France, we were just only 6 months old, and we do not have the track record. We do not have the age. We do not even have the what we call something glaring to showcase in terms of bank account statement or our financial status and so on. And being a vendor for PETRONAS before, 10 years ago, I knew how troublesome it was to get into PETRONAS's vendor system or vendor program, because they look into your previous records, your 3 years bank accounts and so on. So we were lacking that because we were only 6 months old back in September 20. Not even 6 months old. It's only 4 months old when we were selected and we attended the Future Tech 1.0. But from there we grew and we grow by leap and bounds. And recently, just to share with all of you, ladies and gentlemen, we were actually selected by PETRONAS, and we have signed a commercialization agreement with PETRONAS Technology Ventures, PTVSP. On top of that, prior to the signing, actually, we were also courted by PETRONAS CVC, Corporate Venture Capital for investment. But initially, we declined because we have our own reasons, and we didn't even submit our financial proposal to them when we were called upon to submit. But we went ahead with our initiative, and we signed off with PETRONAS Technology Ventures, a commercialization agreement where we help them to develop artificial intelligence safety camera, AISC. And this development, the AISC, artificial intelligence safety camera, were recently, as recent as last month, were officially published by PETRONAS in their social media, and also their inside their internet, interweb, in their own intramail. And we are the task force behind the solution together with PETRONAS Technology Venture. So we are what we call already in PETRONAS quite in serious mode. We are no longer on POC mode. We are no longer in trial mode. We already have this AISC being deployed since MCO 1.0 last year in PETRONAS Refinery Melaka, in MTBE, Gebeng, Pahang, in PETRONAS Fertilizer in Kedah, and so on. So we will have more facilities under PETRONAS that will be installing this solution, AISC, which we developed together with PTVSP. So in a way, again, I will reiterate that without this Future Tech program, I don't believe we are able to come into the ecosystem of PETRONAS in such a short period of time. We don't have the 3 years record, only 4 months old company, but we managed to prove that our technology speaks for themselves. We developed something that have never been developed before, not even by the PETRONAS internal team before, but we worked with them and we managed to make it a reality. So yes, in a way, we are progressing quite well with PETRONAS, and we hope to scale the sectors in PETRONAS to the higher level. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Izwan. That is so wonderful to hear. Congratulations. I'm very happy for you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
This is definitely one of our success stories. I'm glad to hear that, you know, the opportunity to get to work directly with PETRONAS throughout the program really helped. And I want to add on, right, that I think open innovation is now a very common thing. within, corporates themselves. So they are looking for a lot of ways to work with startups. They just don't know how to do it, right? They just don't know where to go and what to do. So I think having leaders like PETRONAS really set in the tone for open innovation. It really helps the entire, industry grow, I think, within Malaysia, right? And I think that's very important. So from 500 startups point of view, we understand that bridging the relationship between corporates and startups is something that is very crucial in ecosystems like Malaysia and even in Singapore, right? So we work with partners to really grow out the startups so that they are ready to work with the corporates. And I think this is a fantastic opportunity for any of you in the room here today, who are looking to, whether is it in Singapore or even in Malaysia, you're looking to start a business. This is a great opportunity, right? I mean, from, Iswan's experience, right? They were 6 months old, right? And of course, for many corporates, they don't usually want to put someone that's 6 months old on their vendor list. This is very common for big corporates, right? Whether anywhere in the world you are. But through this program, the opportunity for them to really understand your technology, to see that you are going to be the best fit solution for them, all kinds of opportunities are out there, right? So thank you for sharing that. Arif, what about you? Right now, I think it's a bit different from you, right? Different for you, right? So did you get an investment from PETRONAS instead of a corporate pilot?
Well, we do both. I mean, yeah, unlike Iswan, we didn't decline investment from PETRONAS. So we have PETRONAS as our investor. So of course, we have 500 also, and then we just added AG Funder. So we also have a proof of concept a pilot program with PETRONAS. So actually, PETRONAS do have business in agriculture, actually quite a big one. They are the biggest urea fertilizer producer in Southeast Asia. So with PETRONAS Chemical, we are actually running a smart farm program in Kedah area, where the goal is to increase the smallholder farmers' yield from 2 tons per hectare to 4 tons per hectare. So we are almost complete with our first season trial. So it would have been earlier, but because of COVID situation and whatnot, so here we are. But so we are very close to hitting that 100% increase yield. We're providing a few things like NDVI, a variable rate application of fertilizer, and so on. And then I think after we're done with the first season and then second season validation, then we'll probably tell more to the world. And then in terms of PETRONAS as an investor, they've been very awesome to us. For example, we also have a collaborative agreement with Sime Darby Plantation, where we are building robots in the oil palm plantation, and PETRONAS introduced us to Sime Darby. So, and of course, Sime Darby is also now part of Future Tech 2.0. And I would say PETRONAS, like you said, is really showing the way on how to do the collaboration with startups. I'm very surprised. Like, I mean, they are to me the gold standard for GLCs in collaborating with startups. And I think that that's paving way for other big corporations in Malaysia to follow that model. And we have other various projects. We have some smart farming projects in Putrajaya also. So yes, it's been great to have PETRONAS.
Thank you for sharing that, Arif. I see some questions coming in. I will definitely take them. But let's continue with the conversation with Arif and Iswan first. I think my key question to you guys would be really to understand, how you think this program, kind of sets you up for that success, right? I mean, without this program, I wouldn't just say the opportunity to work with, the corporate partners or PETRONAS, but how has it helped your startup in general, right? Is it in terms of, could you share more about like understanding business, being able to grow your business in Malaysia? What are some takeaways that you had for that? Arif, can you go first?
Okay, sure. So for us, firstly in the program, we had world-class mentors, world-class people that 500 brings from all around the world, talking about growth hacking, marketing, and sales. And we are very technical team, so that whole understanding of marketing from the program really helps us. And then also another thing is the business model. Like I said, we throughout the program we actually came up with a business model that we've been using until today. The farming as a service, right? So that has been critical for us, and that has been a lot of our engine for growth. Another thing is also in the program, they also 500 also brings in like Jared Hall, who teaches us about manufacturing. So yeah, we are building robots. So we are not we are doing our own production right now. But in the future, as we build more robots, we need to contract out some of the manufacturing. And we actually have been in touch with Jared even till today for the contract of the manufacturing. So I would say that other than the corporate access to PETRONAS, the whole program is the best. Like, I mean, I've also been in another accelerator, but I would say that the mentors for the marketing and the growth hacking, they are the best. And they've been very useful to us, and probably more useful to us in the next year as we scale more. Because we are deep tech doing robots, so it takes a while to finish the robots. We are not buying things off the shelf. We are literally building them in-house. So we are almost at the end of our development path. So almost ready for commercialization by end of the year.
Thank you so much. That's really wonderful to hear. We do pride ourselves very much on, programming really customized and well-designed curriculum, right, to really suit the local context, but also bringing in mentors that are domain experts, not just in industry, but in terms of, the kind of tech that you guys do. So I think having that, landscape on it really helps. What I've really realized from a lot of tech founders is that, them getting to understand sales, marketing, business development, all that is something that tech founders generally don't know, right? Because when you start a product, you are a tech guy, right? That's what you are. So giving that sort of business element to, the program really, really helps them to see how their product can really be materialized in the market. Yeah. Iswan, what about you? What was like the thing that you really felt was valuable from the program itself?
Yeah, of course, all the mentors, both 500 also PETRONAS's mentors, brought something unique. Each and every one of them brought something unique on the table. So, for example, in our startup, we have mainly our manpower are the tech geek, all the coders, programmers, and so on. And I am among only one or two in my company that are more into the business side of company. So I am more into the commercial side of it. But even then, my experience before this was mainly on the conventional businesses such as mechanical and electrical. So when we are moving into deep tech, it's a little bit different ball game, different playing field. But with the help from the PETRONAS and also the 500 startup, 500's mentors, we were exposed to few new elements such as the business model, the what we call the VC perspective, the what we call the EP market valuation, and so on, how to evaluate our company, how to value up our company, and so on. So that's one of the reasons why initially we kind of declined the PETRONAS's advance for investment into us, because we need to understand more where do we stand. Because when we look at our peers overseas, be it in Singapore or even in Europe or US for that matter, we saw the valuation at few hundred multiple and so on. So we tried to understand more how we can come to that. So in a way, the mentors gave us the what we call the insight of how it was done, how the valuation, the multiple are being applied, and so on. So that's one of the critical element that we believe we gain a very good knowledge on. That's why coming to the next stage of investment by PETRONAS, when PETRONAS called us for the second round of potential investment, finally we were ready and we submitted our proposal. But again, due to COVID and so on, so things may have been put on hold. But again, we may not get that investment, but we have direct access now to PETRONAS's business unit. So it's a win-win situation for us. Yeah, from that point, from that perspective, I believe even I was having the same instinct as what Arif was mentioning just now. Who are these guys to talk about robotics? Who are these guys to talk about all this deep tech when they are only on online commerce, e-commerce, and so on. I even made it known physically, face to face, to few of the mentors, to be honest. But at the same conversation, although I questioned about them rather than just speaking into myself, in my heart, I told them face to face. But on top of that, I also told them one thing that I believe you guys are bringing on the table was that you are involved in various sectors across all segments. So you have more exposures than us business owner. So we business owner, we may only concentrate only on one perspective, but you guys, the mentors, were exposed to various type of businesses and also segments of industries. So we can learn from from one another. We can learn from each sector on how to actually improve our business. So we cannot just put aside people's opinion just simply because they came from different background or different segments or different sectors. I think that's a wrong perspective that we need to get it out from our system. We should be more open to accepting all the what we call criticism, comments, because at the end of the day, actually no harm for us to try something new, because that's how world evolve. We have to try something new. We have to be radical in our approach, and we have to think outside the box. So why not get the input and appreciate the input given by the mentors? So yeah, lots of things will bounce about. Mentors shared their experience and knowledge with us from all over the world, their exposure around all over the world. And we, the local startup from Malaysia, also shared what we experience and so on. So I think it was a win-win situation for both parties, the mentors and also the trainees. So we learn from each other.
Thank you, Iswan. I think that's it's a very nice way to kind of sum everything up, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we will be brutally honest with you because we want to make sure that you are also very self-aware, that you also understand what your personal challenges are, right? And be able to fix them. So I think this is a journey, and any startup or founder that comes through our program, it's always a journey. It's only just the beginning. So I'll take some questions now. If Arif or Iswan, you want to kind of add on to my answer, please do. So Yong Seong, you're asking, what does PETRONAS expect in return? I wouldn't say that I can speak for them, but I would try and sum this up in a three-prong answer. So number one, really it's a digitalization journey, right? Like I mentioned, that open innovation today has become a really popular kind of go-to solution for many corporates, because businesses that are traditionally as long and as old as PETRONAS, they have been doing things the same way for many, many years, right? So the time has come, and it has been around for a while now, that they want to start to think about digitalizing, their business operations. They want to think about new ways to strategize, and they want to think outside the box, right? Think about innovating ways that can be done. And for a business as large as, PETRONAS or Sime Darby Plantation or even, Telekom Malaysia, it's about thinking, where else can we look to really start looking for these solutions? So this digitalization journey is not something that corporates want to do alone, right? So that's number one. Number two, looking at the kind of solutions that are coming out from Malaysia, I think PETRONAS is taking the step, taking a risk really in the beginning to say that they want to be the one to start this journey with the startups, and looking outside, their ecosystem to think about who else can bring good solutions and new challenges to their business, right? To really think about what else they can do. And honestly, we have seen a lot of success cases in terms of startups working with corporates and then bringing on new opportunities, not just for the both of them, but for their partners and their clients too. So we have kind of seen this happening in many different ecosystems across the world, right? And therefore, this innovation journey is an ongoing one, and we'll continue to keep improving on it, but they will continue to keep working on it and looking for new people to really bring on board their journey. And the third thing is, I do believe that PETRONAS is currently and will continue to be a leader in terms of creating this sort of brand acknowledgement and also thought leadership in the region, coming up from Malaysia as a corporate that wants to work in building a deep tech startup ecosystem, right? Being the leader in saying that we are going to work with deep tech startups, we are going to build more deep tech resources, knowledge, and access to the market, which is why they've brought on board new partners this year, right? So I think them becoming that leader in this way is really to grow not just, deep tech startups, but the entire tech ecosystem within Malaysia itself. And we have other partners that are on board to really kind of help us share this knowledge and resources also. Some of the universities are involved, some of the institutions and government bodies are also involved. So it's really PETRONAS taking the lead in saying that they want to drive this, they want to grow this, right? So I would say that it is an investment of efforts and resources from PETRONAS's point of view to really grow this. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. Your other question was there are, 160 plus applications last year and only a few made it. Honestly, our applications are always on a rolling basis for many of our programs. So there have been startups that have applied for programs previously and didn't get into the top 20, but they applied again, maybe 6 months down the road, 1 year down the road, and they got into another program, right? So we are always keeping our programs open, and we churn programs at least one is being launched every 1 or 2 months, right? So this is not just across in Malaysia, but regionally and globally as well. So opportunities to always be a part of 500 programs is always there. The reason why we're looking at 20 is because we believe that these 20 are going to be the ones that, in terms of capacity, in terms of resources, the 3 partners are going to work with very closely in the next 3 to 6 months. And we want to really focus our efforts on this 20. So we want to keep applications coming because we know that at some point, some of the startups that don't make it through at this point will make it through at another point, right? And we want to keep engaging with you. We want to keep you in our system. We want to keep, talking to you and seeing at some point you will be ready for some of our other programs as well. So I hope that answers your question. I know that we're running a bit out of time. So if anybody else has any more questions, you can just turn on your mic and ask now, actually. That's fine too.
Yeah, Terry, I had a question just, to give context to how big is PETRONAS and the companies that are partnering in this future tech, so the audience in Singapore can have a better idea. Yeah.
Sure. PETRONAS, Telekom Malaysia, and Sime Darby are all Malaysian-based conglomerates, but they have global footprint and their network is really, really wide. So I would say that in 2019, when we first did this with PETRONAS, they were really looking at just experimenting within their own organization. But opportunities have come in terms of them working with, people like Arif and Iswan, right? They realized that, hey, a lot of their other partners in the ecosystem, whether is it within Malaysia or outside, also have the need, right, to address some of the challenges that they face. So they have also recommended startups to them. So I would say really Malaysia in terms of pride and belonging, but global in terms of footprint and, ecosystem. Yeah. Yeah, so if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to ask. I think this is a really good chance for us to really just engage openly.
Kerry, can I answer one of the questions, if you don't mind? Okay, I think there's a question about what does PETRONAS expect in return. So I believe I'm not speaking on behalf of PETRONAS or even 500, but maybe it's something that good to be shared, because this is something kind of unofficial, but were told to us in one of the sessions during the classes. So what happened is that PETRONAS is not the first in the world when it comes to oil and gas company that collaborate or have such a program to nurture startup. You even have Shell of Holland, Netherlands, that already even started that. To be honest, they are the first in the world to do that. But this is something that I believe all of us Malaysian should applaud the former president of PETRONAS, Tan Sri Wan Zulkifli, because the idea actually came from him and his teams during that time, which was actually to expedite the digital transformation within PETRONAS. So in return, what they are trying to do, actually, they would like to welcome the startups that have the capabilities to help PETRONAS to grow. So when you talk about PETRONAS, of course, the mindset, the stereotype is that, or was that PETRONAS is an oil and gas company, is an energy company. But little known to the public, actually, PETRONAS already pivot from that for quite some time. They are into renewable energy, and they are into, like Arif was mentioning, into agriculture, agri-tech, and so on. So they are going down into different paths for the last few years, and that will be also the path going forward. Even the current president was mentioning, initiated a program, zero carbon emission by 2050. So that's a big step forward for an oil and gas company, to be honest. But they are really serious into it. So the technology that these 20 companies were presented to PETRONAS during the pitching and during the selection process was that we have some niche that can help PETRONAS to grow or to expand their business interests, both on the energy sectors and also non-energy sectors, both renewable energy or conventional energy. So this basically suits well for them, for PETRONAS, and also for us. So we are, for example, like inference, we are bringing into PETRONAS's ecosystem the AI capabilities that we develop and help PETRONAS actually to spearhead and also to officialize some of the products in a shortest period of time compared to previously. So we help them because we have the flexibility. You have to understand PETRONAS is a big ship. It's just like a big oil tanker that you cannot just simply turn right or left to your liking. So when you turn right, it will take some time before you can actually move the ship towards right. So a startup like us offer flexibility where we are easy to maneuver around, and we help actually to accelerate or to stimulate certain development within PETRONAS, and we are actually happy and proud, and also of course equally humble, being given the opportunity by PETRONAS to be together with them, and hopefully we can also be with 500 startup for any other initiative or programs in for your future planning and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Iswan. That's a lovely metaphor, right? I think that is very true of many large conglomerates and corporates, right? They're like a big, big ship that, you know, takes a long time to really just turn right or turn left. And with startups coming in, we provide a lot of different angles, I would say, different ways of looking at it, and really can expedite the kind of growth that they want to make as well. So I really, really feel like that's a really good metaphor. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's really good perspective. Let's try and wrap it up a little bit. So if you could just share one thing that you could, you know, with these potential founders that might be in the program, what is that one thing that you would share with them, Iswan?
Okay, I think just go for it. It might sound troublesome to attend the classes every day for the next, I don't know, this session 2.0 also still 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. Yeah.
So it might sound troublesome or, you know, tedious and so on. Yeah, we experienced that before, and we were worse because we had to attend physical classes. But yeah, I mean, give and take. From that retrospective, we believe we learned a lot. It's something that a new startup, especially, or a potential startup that have a good technical or deep tech capability should consider, because it will open up opportunity for you guys to be into the ecosystem in a faster way rather than the conventional way. And for example, in our case, we were only dealing with PETRONAS, so there's only one conglomerate. But now, Future Tech 2.0, you have PETRONAS, Sime Darby Plantation, and Telekom, TM. So 3 in 1. So this is a big, major opportunity, too good to be missed. I believe everybody should explore and try to apply on it. Of course, inference would like to apply again if we are given the opportunity. So who knows? But again, everybody should try. Don't be afraid. Accept the challenges, embrace the challenges, and hopefully you guys grow as well as, if not as us, maybe better than us, hopefully.
Thank you. So just go for it, okay? And we won't invite you back as a participant, but definitely come and share your experience and story with our 20, you know, selected founders after that. I think you give a really good, especially insightful, insider kind of information on how to work with PETRONAS, right? I think that's a really interesting point of view. Arif, what about you? What's the one thing that you would say to everybody here?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Just apply. Yeah, just go for it. Yeah, like everyone says, don't be hesitant about spending the time for the accelerator. You might because you don't know the program beforehand. But I would say it's the best accelerator in Malaysia. Like you wouldn't find anything else like it. I mean, we've been to also other accelerators around the world. I would say this is the best accelerator. And then also another thing is even though you're B2B or B2C, Don't be hesitant into thinking, oh, you're not in the business of either one of the three partners. Like Izwan says, PETRONAS is actually really broad, and so are the other partners. You will enjoy the program. You will benefit from it immensely. So yeah, just apply. Yeah, it's the best accelerator. Yeah,
Just do
especially
it.
for deep tech. Yeah, especially for deep tech. Yeah, there are very few people, and we are very lucky to be with 500 and with PETRONAS to be able to actually build a deep tech company here in Malaysia.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Arif. Thank you, Izwan. Really, really happy to have you both really share your stories with us. Every time I hear from founders who have been through our programs, right, talk about their experience, it makes me very happy and heartened because I know what we're doing really makes an impact, and we hope to continue doing it. So thank you for your support. Thank you, Andy and Jimmy, for having us today. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm just going to put my Poston said, please apply by 27 July. So we're starting to review some of the applications that have come in. If you want to just chat with us, please feel free to write to patronas.futuretech@500startups.com. I'm also going to share my personal email address. So if you want to just write to me, any thoughts or any ideas, or you're keen to find out more about other programs, please also write to me. Yeah.
We want to thank Carrie and Poston from 500 Startups for hosting today's event and sharing about this wonderful PETRONAS and Sime Darby Telekom Malaysia opportunity. We thank our guest speakers Arif and Izwan for really sharing a lot of the progress that you have made and an exciting journey of being in a startup in your deep tech area.